called a portalung.
A portalung. Portalung.
And it's just a fancy name for a portable iron lung. I spend 13 hours every night.
13 hours every night. Rest of the time, she's either on this gurney. What do we call this? Gurney?
Table.
Table.
Yeah.
And she has a very special wheelchair. That's what Therese uses to cause trouble around the neighborhood and in church.
Especially in church.
Especially in church. Okay. So we have handicaps. We have things that you have to deal with that most of us don't have to deal with. If I want to scratch my nose, I can scratch my nose. You can't even do that too well, can you?
Not very well.
Not very well. But right now, I want to get to the meat of the matter regarding this wonderful book, Love Your Cross, How Suffering Became Sacrifice. Love Your Cross. You know, I've read this book, and as I said, it's profound. But what's interesting is you seem to be a very happy person. And I'll be quite honest with you, most people wouldn't think that somebody in your condition could be very happy. But talk about, where does that come from?
The grace of God, to be short and sweet, but where does the grace of God come from? The grace of God comes from daily prayer.
Okay, wait. You have a wonderful prayer life. That comes through in the book. And this prayer life is what sustains you to be the up person that you are.
Yeah. And it's not just a prayer life that consists of vocal prayer, saying the rosary, you know, every hour of the day or whatever. But it's more like a vocal prayer combined with just simply talking to the Lord.
So your day, let's talk about your day. You wake up in the morning, your sister comes to help you get out of the portalung. Does your day begin with prayer, or is your whole day a prayer? Talk about that. I mean, I get up in the morning and I have to say the office, and priests have to say the office. So I say the office. But then I give God all my complaints and tell him what I expect, you know, from him throughout the day.
Yeah.
And some days I'm happy and some days I'm not too happy.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, tell me about you.
That sounds familiar. I mean, I like that too. Depending on how much pain I'm in, or if I'm not in pain, the day is good, you know, but there's like an hour, maybe 2 hours before I get out of bed where I have time to just kind of be by myself and think. And so that's usually the time where I say a morning offering. And then that's about it. And then the rest of the day is just a prayer. Like whatever I'm doing, I just include the Lord in it.
Okay, so that morning offering, for all my prayers, works, joys, and sufferings of this day. Okay, so sufferings. We've been talking about this. You have a lot of suffering. Physical, emotional, and spiritual. All right. And you say that suffering can be a very positive thing. Look, quite honestly, I don't like to suffer. I don't think anybody, you know, likes to suffer, and I don't usually think about it as being positive. You know, I'm usually telling the doctor, quick, it's me. I have to talk to you right away. I got to see you. Give me something, okay?
I will say I have an unusually high tolerance for pain. Having said that, I don't appreciate it. I don't like it. But I guess I'm more of a positive thinking person. So I prefer, and this is just me and my temperament, to turn my physical pain, my emotional pain, into something pleasing for the Lord and for myself. To be quite selfish about it.
Okay, well, I think you have a right to be selfish. What do you think?
I don't know.
Well, I think you have a little right to be selfish. God will give you these. God says, "Wow, look at the condition she's in, and she's praying to me, and she's praising me, and she's offering up these sufferings, and."
And then I like to help people, so I figured that offering up my suffering helps people.
Okay, we'll talk about that. How does it help people? How does your suffering help people?
It helps people hopefully to see that there is meaning in life, to their life, even though they may suffer a lot. And they probably suffer more than I do, because suffering affects us all differently. And some people don't understand or take it too well.
I want to talk about something else, which is another extraordinary thing. You went to college. All right. It took you 11 years,
Yes.
but you did it. All right. You did it on a computer. How did you do this?
For the most part, I did it with a computer over Skype. But when I first started, the Ave Maria University was here in the Vineyards, where Ave Maria Law is. So I had the privilege of going to classes for a year. That was really fun.
So you went actually to the classroom.
I went to the classroom.
And you enjoyed that. You were getting out. You were seeing people that were classmates.
Classmates, I could interact with the teachers. And I could get to know the students. So that was in, let's see, 2006. The spring of 2006 to the end of the spring semester of 2007. And then they moved out to the new campus. I still went to classes sometimes, but it was very infrequent. Only, like, Meg would take me out when she came down from New Hampshire, and I would attend class. It was like maybe once or twice a semester, but most of the time I was on Skype.
You would take 1 or 2 courses
Yeah.
a semester. And it took you 11 years, but you did it. Your graduation wasn't too long ago. Last year, 2 years ago?
2017.
2017. That's fantastic. And I'm told that you received a standing ovation.
Much to my surprise.
Wow, I don't think that should be surprising. What you accomplished is just amazing.
And the funny thing about that was I had no idea what was going on.
Because you couldn't see it. You just heard applause.
The funny thing is that while I was receiving my diploma, the standing ovation was going on, but I didn't think it was for me. And at
Because you
the
couldn't
same
see. You
time,
was the way you were positioned. You couldn't see what was going on.
yeah, I could see out of the corner of my eye, but I wasn't paying attention. I was focused on President Tui giving me my diploma, and while he was giving me my diploma, Mother Teresa was speaking to me very loudly. And I was like, so I wasn't focused on anything around me, because she was speaking to me and she said, I have been with you. I have always been with you. I am here with you now, and I will continue to be with you.
That's
Well, it's like-
fantastic.
Okay. Cool.
When Mother spoke, we listened.
That's right.
Yeah?
You don't mess with her.
No? But you also had a lot of other help. Some more angels and saints that helped you to become the person that you are. And that's your family. You have wonderful parents. I've had the pleasure of knowing them. And you have 14 siblings. Tell us about your family.
One of them is a priest.
One of them is a priest, Father Peter. I know him. Huh? Tell us, how did your family, how have they helped you?
They help me by example and by talking, because we all love to talk in our
Oh,
family.
not you.
Heck no. And we all like to talk about our faith. That's a big part of it. Is when we get together, we're usually talking about the state of the world or the state of the church. Just take your pick at the time. Those are the two subjects.
You've heard that Therese has 14 siblings. We have 2 of them here with us, and this here is Kathy, and this is Meg. Certainly, the circumstance that you find yourselves in, taking care of somebody like Therese, has impacted your lives, not just how you do things, where you live, your activities, but it's had to have an effect on your spiritual life. How would you say that taking care of little Dynamite has affected your life? Yeah,
We'll go to
and
her
then
first.
you.
Okay.
All right, I'm just going to tell you the best way I could put it is that Jesus has taught me to surrender. You know, it's a journey, as Therese says. This is God's plan, and it was very clear. You know, the Lord saying, "I want you to do this." Okay, and as things come up, and we go through a lot of challenges, and just kind of in life, and I am a nurse, and Teresa's, you know, got a lot of challenges physically, and her body's changing like all of us. She's getting older, so we go through that. And I don't know if even all my siblings, I mean, Meg knows, because Meg comes and helps, and Mary, but you know, I pray constantly, Lord, show me what I'm supposed to do. So that has been a gift, a pure gift, because I didn't, you know, I don't think some people don't see handicapped people,
Right.
you know.
And
So
that's a big testimony to our parents.
Yes,
when,
to the
with
love
Therese and the
and
way they raised all of us with Therese, and it became very normal. Therese in our life was very normal. I mean, there are pictures and there's times, I mean, I was around when the boys would take you out sledding in Vermont.
Therese has 3 brothers above her. That's why when she talks
she went
about the
out
boys,
sledding?
they
Yeah.
strap her to a sled and throw her down a hill.
Sledding, she's done all kinds of
she's-
things. And she
Yeah.
loves speed.
As you can imagine, producing this wonderful program, Action for Life, it costs a great deal of money. We're going to need your help. So if you would like to donate to keep this good news program on the air, please go to your computer, your cell phone, actionforlife.net. And now for our thought for the day. Prayer is extremely important. We're not fighting a battle just against earthly powers. We're fighting a battle against evil. Please take some time each day to pray and ask God for the strength that you need and that we need to keep up the battle for life. Therese, you are now living with your sister Kathleen, which is a rather new development over the last 5 years, maybe?
Yep.
Okay. Before that, you were living with your parents, and you just felt you had to escape
Yeah.
from your parents. Now, your parents certainly, they're up in age now,
Yes.
okay? So why did you decide you had to spread your wings?
I had to spread my wings because, first of all, my mother was failing in health. And I was extremely concerned that all of my physical care was going to be the reason why she would die sooner than she was supposed to. And I would have none of that. I was like, dear God, I don't want to be the one that kills my mother. So I spent a lot of time praying about how to escape. And it was very hard.
But they didn't want to let you go.
Very hard.
Your parents
They
didn't
did
want to let
not
you
want to
go.
let me go.
All right, and then some
They were
kidnappers came.
convinced. They were convinced that they would take care of me for the rest of their lives.
Okay.
Like they would just die.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow, my siblings would pick up the tab, so to speak.
Well,
It's-
the
it was
story
funny.
the story reads that they didn't want to let you go, and one day when they went someplace, you were kidnapped and brought to your sister's house. Is that what happened?
It appeared to be that way from their side of the story.
Or from their side of the story?
It was well thought out. I didn't want a confrontation. Because I figured the confrontation would be worse than the escape in the long run. So under no circumstances did I want a confrontation. And thankfully the Lord answered that prayer. Because that was a big prayer.
So you plotted this?
Oh, I plotted it.
Oh, yeah, I plotted it all
Oh,
right.
yeah. Along with my sisters.
And
Yeah.
then when they found out that you were missing, what happened then?
There was very little communication when they found out. I mean, after I'd left, there was little to no communication
They were mad.
from me.
Oh, you were just not talking.
And they were angry. They were very angry. So I did not really want to talk to them for a while. I wanted to let them cool off.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really care how long that took.
Well, they're talking now. How long did
We have a great relationship
I
now.
know you do. How long did it take for them to cool off?
It took about a year.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
So you had to go through a year of real
A
separation.
lot of emotional
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah. Leaving a familiar environment, having
Oh, yeah.
parents that loved you to death, and all of a sudden, they're not talking, and it's like a new life. You
A
come to
life where they made all the decisions for me. And then I had to move to a life where I had to make my own decisions. It was an education. It was
very
a
courageous.
real education.
Very courageous too. For a lot of people, they want to stay with the familiar, with the security that they know all their lives. But your siblings enabled it to
Also,
happen.
one of the reasons that I had to escape was for writing this book.
Mm-hmm.
I told Mom and Dad that my spiritual director at the time said I should write this book. And coming from the background that I came from, it was not a popular decision for me in the beginning. I thought he was joking. He said to me, Therese, you need to write a book. And I said, are you kidding? What have I got to say? I don't have anything to say. He said, yes, you do. He said, I work in a psychiatric hospital. And I see many people that are contemplating suicide. You can save their lives. I said, what? How can I save their lives? He said, by your life. And you have a responsibility to share your life with people.
You had a very wise spiritual director. Very wise.
Mm-hmm. So then I came home and I told my parents that. First, they didn't believe me. Second, they didn't want me to write the book. And it's not their fault. We're just very private people. And we've always lived private lives. So they didn't want their lives to be exposed to the world. But I said, it's my life. You're connected to it. Absolutely. You are, the main link, but in the end, it's my life. And I have to tell the story. So.
Well, fantastic. It is your life, and you claimed it. And well, God gave it to you, and you're doing fantastic things with what God gave. And your body might be in bad shape, but your brain is not, nor is your mouth. And as I said many a time, what you've accomplished, how you live, the things that you say, the inspiration that you are to other people lets us know that God is definitely working through you, and you share in the sufferings of Christ, and you share in the cross. And that's a message for all of us, that we all share in the cross of Christ. And in sharing in that cross, we also offer ourselves to God the Father completely and totally, as Therese has given herself over to God and trusted that God would take care of her. As you can see, He has. your story is just a family story, just a fantastic, fantastic story. It is the gospel of life. And you recall that there's a wonderful encyclical written by Pope John Paul the Great. It's called the Gospel of Life. And he talked about the sanctity and the dignity of all human life. And we can see it here with Therese and with her family. What stays in my mind about John Paul was that toward the end of his life, he became incapacitated with Parkinson's disease. And he looked absolutely awful. He was a handsome man, an athletic man, and his body began to fail him. He probably couldn't eat by himself anymore, and he probably couldn't even take care of his bodily needs anymore. He needed people to help him. But he continued. He continued to give a witness to the gospel of life, the sanctity of life, no matter how incapacitated we may think we are. In the last week of his life, John Paul came to the balcony of St. Peter's, and he couldn't talk anymore. And St. Peter's Square was filled with pilgrims. And the Pope tried, he couldn't. And he simply raised his hand and blessed the people. That was the great testimony to the gospel of life. Every moment that God gives us is worth living. And it's a testimony to God's love and a blessing to all of God's people. God bless you all. Thank you for being with us.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
We would like to thank our generous sponsors for their wonderful support. Thanks for watching. Please join us next time for Action for Life. I'm for action, and I hope you are too. I'm Father Michael Orsi. I am your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program which talks about the gospel of Jesus Christ, the big G, and the little g, all the good things that people are doing to put the gospel of life into action. So please join us for the next episode of Action for Life.